Hello all you wonderful people and welcome back. Today I am back in Small Victories by Johanna Basford and we're going to continue on this little nature page here. So last time I did a 1 hour challenge for the little autumn leaves and I'm thinking today I'm going to do the little rabbit that's next to it. I'm not putting a time limit on myself, but I think we should be able to get it done in under an hour. Just because it's smaller than the other ones, I don't have to push myself as much. So we should be able to get lots of lovely shading in and things. So I'm just going to use my Derwent Drawing pencils again. I think I might be doing that for this whole page. I do like to have it looking fairly uniform. I'll give you some options if you want to use your Polychromos, because I know a lot of you do, because well, that's what I tend to use a lot of. So I'll give you some alternative Polychromos pencils that you can use for that instead. So today I'm going to be using mainly the brown tones, some of the greens and some of the blues. I might go in with like the marsh violet and maybe some ruby red or something like that on the ears, the inside of the ears. But other than that, not too much. So I'm starting out with my nice sort of dark brown tone. I'm thinking if you're using Polychromos, you could go with either the walnut, depending on the size of your set, or the burnt umber. For these, I'm just going in nice and light with this chocolate color. It's the darkest brown in the Derwent Drawing set. And I'm just going in nice and light and marking out my shadows. So I'm going to go over this now with my brown ochre. If you're following with Polychromos, there is a brown ochre in there as well, so just use that one, make it simple. So I'm just going over the top and just starting to pull the color out a little bit. I still want to make sure that I have some highlighted areas and that we create a lot of movement, because obviously a bunny isn't flat. We want to make sure that we get some nice rounded shapes in here and that we can see where sort of the little grooves and things are in the fur. I hope you're enjoying this little bunny so far. If you are, I would really appreciate if you took the time to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps the algorithm and get this video pushed out to a wider audience. And if you are new here, I would love to have you subscribe, and if you hit that notification bell, you'll get notified whenever I post any new content. For the lighter areas, I'm going to go in with my light sienna. If you're using your Polychromos, you could use, I'm thinking, a very light layer of the cinnamon or the beige red. If you feel like that's got too much or sort of red color to it, you could make a little bit of a mix with a bit of ivory first, and then layer either the cinnamon or the beige red over the top of that. Now I'm just going to finish off the highlighting there with a bit of the wheat color. Use your ivory for that. If you're using Polychromos or any other kind of color, that would work out completely fine. Now I didn't say before, but because these pencils are wax based rather than oil based like the Polychromos, if you are using Polychromos, you may find that you need to repeat all of these processes a few times. So once you've layered down a few layers, you might just have to go in again and add maybe a third or a fourth layer of each color, just because the Polychromos are more translucent and these Derwent Drawing are quite opaque. so it takes me less effort to get down more pigment onto the paper. Obviously with the Polychromos, the advantage is that you can get your pencils down to a really nice fine sharp point, so you can easier get into these little corners and edges where you can see the little leaves there. You know, it's easy to get into those little sort of nooks and crannies in there without going outside of the lines, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm just working with this Mars Violet. I'm trying to think of what you could use with Polychromos, but I'm really kind of thinking that you could go in with maybe a little bit of a mix of your coral and maybe a tiny little very light layer of the burnt carmine. I think that would work. And I'm obviously also going to use some darker colors. I've got the ruby earth here. For that one I would use the Indian red, I'm thinking, or you could just again go in with a little bit more of the burnt carmine if you wanted a little bit more on the violet side. So I'm just using this very lightly and just adding a bit of a sort of shadow around the edges here, because obviously inside the rabbit ears you can see more blood vessels. Obviously the ears is how they regulate their temperature and everything, so it just makes sense that you can see more skin and less fur in there. Now I'm just going to go over everything again and just layering up my colors by doing this in sort of stages. So I'm doing a little bit of each color and getting to a point where I'm happy, and then I'll repeat the process. You're going to get a nicer blend of your colors by layering them over each other a little bit more rather than having too many harsh lines. Obviously there are times where you want harsh lines, but in this one I want nice and soft and smooth transitions. You can already see how much more shape this little bunny has got already. So we've got lots of shading, we're leaving our highlights out, and we're getting shape to the face as well. This little snout here, I want to make sure that we just got lots of shape, make sure we have nice little chubby cheeks going out there. And yeah, I'm really happy. It's turning out really lovely so far, and I'm going to do a similar thing when I do the leaves. I want to make sure that they do definitely look like they're wrapping around the bunny, and that we have a light area towards the center of the body and a darker towards the outside. So I'm going to start with these little leaves. I'll be starting with the ink blue. You could use, if you're using Polychromos, you could use the dark indigo here. Just go in very lightly. I would probably, if you're doing dark indigo, I might be inclined to layer it a little bit in with some of the Prussian blue as well, just because this one has got a little bit of that sort of tinge to it, but it's still quite muted. So blending those two together would work fairly well, I think. Then I will be using, if I was doing Polychromos, I would then use for the lighter color the, I think it's a bluish turquoise, I think it is, just off the top of my head. I'm just trying to remember these. And then any of the sort of lighter colors for the tips here, you could do maybe like the sky blue or something like that. If you're still finding it a little bit too bright compared to these Derwent Drawing, then you could layer in a little bit of grey as well, just very, very gently, just to sort of tone it down that little bit. So as I mentioned before, and you might be noticing already, I am making it darker towards the sort of outer edges here, and then having it lighter as it comes in towards the center of the rabbit where I have like the highlight on the fur. So that will give us that rounded shape of the rabbit, and it'll be well, we can't call it realistic because obviously no rabbits got leaves on them, but I think you get what I mean. It's making it more 3D rather than a flat shape. So for these smaller leaves, I'm going to go in with some greens. So I'm going to do, well, I'm doing obviously the colors for the Derwent Drawing. They only got a few of each color. So if you're using something different like Polychromos or anything else, go with your earthy tones of the greens, so none of the bright ones. I think there is an sort of like a darker olive tone in there. I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's on the darker side. And you could also go in with the juniper green and the earth green for the two lighter colors. And a couple of them I will layer in with a little bit of blue just to blue them up a little bit more, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So I'm deliberately going to go in much lighter on the little leaves in the center here. I don't want so much sort of dark, I don't want that olive green there, so just because it's a little bit too dark and we have that big highlight there, so I want to make sure that we keep that lightness to create that shape on our little rabbit. So I'm going to continue on with my sort of muted red, violety kind of tones inside the ears. So I'm starting with Venetian red, which if you're using Polychromos, you just pick your Venetian red. You could also use a little bit of the India red just for the center there if you want to darken things up a little bit more, because obviously we got the ruby red that we can use here if we need it. But yeah, if you're using some different colors, just again, go with your muted versions. Anything that you can think of that's earthy in colors, they are the good alternatives. So I'm bringing out my ivory black now, and I'm going to go in and really sort of darken up certain areas here for a bit of extra shading, a little bit of extra dramatic effect. I don't usually go straight for black when I do shading. I often go in, as you could see, with like a dark brown, like a sepia color or like a Payne's grey sort of thing. That way I do have the option of going in even darker if I need to with the black. But if you go straight for black, you can't go any darker. So it's always good to have that option to bring in the black for that extra little oomph at the end if you feel like you need it. Now I just have to say that this black is seriously good. If you went and just bought 2 colors like in open stock of the Derwent Drawing, go get their Chinese white and their ivory black. They are freaking insane, and they mix really well with other pencils if you want to use them sort of with Prismacolors or Polychromos or anything like that. These are absolutely amazing and make some great shading or some awesome highlighting. So definitely a go and buy. So I'm just going to go in with my brown ochre again and just finish off by blending out a little bit of those shadows just to soften it a bit and we get a nicer, smoother transition. And then I think I need a little bit more just at the top of the head there with this color. And then I think we're done. I'm not sure yet whether or not I want to remove any black outlines. I'll have a think about it. But I think for now I'm gonna say that we're done. So if you feel like you need to, you can go in with like a white gel pen. I use my Sakura Jelly Roll usually if I use that. And you can go in and remove some outlines, but I won't show myself doing that. I think I'm gonna have a little think about it, but I'm not sure if I'll film it if I do, but I might show you a photo. And here is our little finished bunny. I am super happy with the colors for this one. I think it's so pretty and earthy, and I think it turned out pretty cute. And I'll show you this is what it looks like without some of the black outlines. I haven't done all of it. I've done a little bit just on his head just to quickly show you on the photo, and then if you want to you can, but you don't have to. So this is how far we are. So I can't wait to go ahead and do some more stuff on this page. I really feel it's turning out really beautiful and I'm loving the colors. Now, should we go in and do some more shadow on that first little part we did? I'm not sure, but I wish you all a colorful day and I will see you again next time.